Listen, something is happening to the world that we are not naming. The crisis is no longer just political, economic, or structural. It is atmospheric. It is emotional. It is spiritual in the broadest human sense. A nation's climate is not measured only by the weather. It is measured by the words we release into the air. And right now, our atmosphere is poisoned. People are hurting. Leaders are breaking. And the language between the two has turned into a battlefield no one survives. We curse the people we depend on. We demand clarity from minds overwhelmed by hostility. We speak from wounds that have never healed. Leaders make decisions under the weight of invisible emotional siege. And the result is a feedback loop of collapse, where the people bleed from injustice and the leaders drown in accusation, and both sides think the other is the enemy. But it is not the people, and it is not the leaders. It is the atmosphere. Look around you. Trust in leadership has fallen to historic lows. Not because every leader is wicked, but because entire nations are speaking from trauma, and trauma has become our national language. Anger is justified. Betrayal is real. People have lost jobs, homes, dignity, welfare, safety, belonging. Of course they speak out of pain. How else can the wound breathe? But when pain has no container, it becomes a curse. And curses create climates. And climates create consequences. We say, they don't care. They are all failures. May everything they touch collapse. And yet we forget these same people must make decisions that shape our lives. The contempt we release becomes the fog they think through. The hostility we unleash becomes the atmosphere they breathe. Human nervous systems were never designed to lead inside a storm of public hatred. And so leadership shrinks. Decision-making weakens. Vision collapses. Creativity dies. Fear takes the throne. And fearful leaders make fearful decisions which deepen the wounds of the people, who then increase their hostility, which further destroys leadership, which destroys society, which destroys us all. This is not politics. This is emotional physics. This is atmospheric law. The world is not collapsing because leaders are bad or because citizens are angry. It is collapsing because both are wounded and no one is healing the space between them. There is no national therapy, no emotional infrastructure, no mechanism for collective healing. Pain has nowhere to go, so it goes everywhere. Into Parliament, into Twitter feeds, into ballots, into homes, into private mental breakdowns, into public rage, into the very oxygen we breathe as cities. We have forgotten that how we speak builds or destroys the future. We need a new discipline of speech. Not silence, not denial, not pretending everything is fine, but intentionality, clarity without cruelty, accountability without annihilation, truth without emotional assassination. Because the future of governance will not be built only on policies. It will be built on the atmosphere we create around the people responsible for shaping those policies. This is where Harbour of Mercy enters the battle, a reformer of the emotional architecture of society. A movement that understands that nations do not collapse because of weak policies, they collapse because of broken atmospheres. Because people have no place to process their pain. Because leaders have no place to recover their humanity. Because the emotional infrastructure of society is cracked at the foundation. Harbour of Mercy stands in that fracture between public pain and public power, between wounds and decisions, between anger and accountability. between exhaustion and responsibility, between the people and the leaders who are supposed to serve them. We cannot keep cursing the roof over our heads and expect it to shelter us. We cannot keep poisoning the atmosphere and expect clarity. We cannot keep speaking death and expect nations to live. A new climate must be built. A new emotional infrastructure must rise. A new relationship between pain and power must emerge. The world is speaking from wounds. Leaders are governing from exhaustion. And history is waiting for those who will heal the space between them. This is the call. This is the work. This is the atmosphere we must rebuild. For without it, no nation can survive the storm it breathes.